It's me and Dr. V. There is Dr. V. Here is me. I'm sorry I couldn't make it Wednesday. I got volunteered to move stuff, and you don't say no to your wife. So it just kind of happened, and I said okay, and I apologize, and I'm sorry we weren't on last week, and it's my fault. At least she told me the night before. It made it easy. But here we go. We're going to be getting right into this. What is our picture? I'm sorry. Let's start at the beginning. We are an opinion group. We tell you what we think based on facts as we understand those facts. We love hearing what you all have to say in the mosh pit. We'll deal with you. We'll come to you and appreciate everything. You're not allowed to cough, Joe. And whoa, and that's so understand. That's where we are. We go with them. We go with the facts.
And in the mosh pit, your opinion is welcome, particularly when you back it up with facts. And we'll reward that by highlighting what you have to say.
So please back it up with facts. Don't just point exclamation, exclamation, exclamation.
That's not a fact.
That's the only fact is you put the exclamation point in there. That means nothing. Okay, you all saw the thumbnail. What does the thumbnail mean, Mark? What's going on? Joe asked me. Well, we're devolving, as we've been talking about. That thumbnail means here we are, and we're going back to the cave. We're devolving back to the cave. We're going to be talking about that today. But while I'm at it, great song by Lita Ford. It keeps going on in my mind. Oh, get back to the cave. Great song. Pick it up. Love Lita. Pick her up. She rocked. She rocked. Okay. Why is Donald Trump a cult? Because many Americans don't see what is going on and prefer to just trust the man and ignore facts. When Joe and I were growing up, we were told you could never trust the man. The man was trouble. The man laid BS out on you. The man didn't tell it the way it was. Well, let's get back to it because we've got a cult here. So let's talk about the facts. And if we're wrong, please tell us where we're wrong. Joe and I were talking earlier, and Joe starts with me about the economy, and I got it about how it's getting better. And I'm reading it in the Post today, and they talk about we hit the bottom. We're coming back. I see that in the Times. I'm sorry, yes, and I also see it in the Wall Street Journal. And what's going on? They're saying, guess what? Inflation dropped to 2.4% last month, and that's cool. It dropped from 2.7 to 2.4, but all that means is that it kept going up. It just didn't go up as fast. So if you're in trouble and you're making your credit card payments and you're paying your 25% or 20% on your credit card, how does bringing this down help? It doesn't help at all. It's inflation going up. It's just not going up as quickly. You have to remember, it's a compound. That's the problem. Get out of the cult. Look at the facts. See what's going on here. Second, jobs. Wow, it sounded great. We had 181,000 jobs last month. That's tremendous. But remember this, of those 181,000 jobs, about 124,000 had to do with healthcare, had to do with social assistance and healthcare. There's no manufacturing coming in. There's no new jobs going out. In fact, the Challenger survey had shown that we were going to lose. How many is this here? The 108,435 jobs, which is a 115% increase. This is the worst for planned job cuts since 2009. So you have that going on. Once again, don't tell me just Trump. Don't just tell me exclamation mark. These are facts. It's great. We were up 181,000. But remember this. Last year in 2025, we thought we were up 584,000 in Donald Trump's first year, but we weren't. We were only up 181,000 in Donald Trump's first year, which means that's a drop of 69%. That's like 300 some odd, 400,000 people did not have jobs that Donald Trump thinks had jobs, that the Secretary of Treasury says it, that the cult goes on and pushes the message. As Trump says, get the message out, get the message out. Let's look at the facts. Unemployment rate dropped to 4.3%, but how is that impacted by the amount of people who were thrown out of the country? And how is that impacted by these 400,000 jobs that we're not getting back? And once again, most of them, the great majority, were in healthcare. Is everybody getting ready to go to healthcare? Do we have a zillion nursing schools opening up? Joe knows better than I do. Is everybody going to be a doctor? Joe knows better than I do. Where are we going to go with this? Healthcare, is that the only thing? Where are the manufacturing jobs? Where are the white collar jobs? Well, the white collar jobs are getting thrown out the door because of AI. And that's cool. You can't stop technology, right? So it's not really cool, but you can't stop technology. But who's going to retrain these people so they can have jobs and become members and stay as members, functioning members of society, of working society, of just being around? Let's look at some other issues we have. Get out of the cult. I'm hitting Trump because they're just laying the jive on you. If things change, great. But let's keep going here. FHA loans. He keeps telling you that he is the housing doctor, basically. I'm taking care of housing with my 50-year mortgage. Really? Did you know that FHA loans? I talk about housing a lot. Our housing market is just blown. It's just not done right. There's big inventories in certain areas. There's no inventories in others. Prices are going up. But let's look at FHA loans. You always hear about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Those are the basic loans. Those are the ones they call conforming. People pay 20%, generally 20% up front, and then they make their payments, and Fannie and Freddie sell the bonds out to the market and guarantee the payments. But FHA is for the first-time buyer. Those people put up maybe 5%, many times less, based on other people helping and gifts and all that kind of stuff. As of the end of last year, FHA delinquency rate was 11.52%, which is the highest since the second quarter of 2021, which was COVID, which was Biden, and everybody was home with COVID. Now with Trump, the FHA delinquency rate is as bad as it was with Biden. Let's look at car loans. Car loan delinquencies are at 15-year highs. Subprimes are at record levels, 90-day delinquency means they haven't made 3 payments, or up to 5 to 5.2%. How can you tell me this is going good? How can you tell me we have a good economy? How can you tell me that Trump is leading us through all this? He is the message. The message is the jive. He lays it out there. And while he's doing that, he's taking away your rights. And he's taking, let's use another great example. While he's doing all that, Pam Bondi is sitting there before Congress and covering up on the Epstein files, and they ask her, will you just turn around and look at the people behind you, because you say you're talking to everybody, and there are some victims. When you talk to them, get their phone numbers. All she had to do was turn around, or had an aide go and get their phone numbers. She could have given them a call or had somebody give them a call. She wouldn't even look. She was more focused on her 50,000 Dow Jones Industrial Average number. Who cares about people? Who cares about numbers? We have a real K economy, and it is so K, it's incredible, because the wealthy are just rocking. Something happens. Go ahead, Joe.
Yes, I mean, let's keep the overview facts straight. Okay. So, the normal parameters that we look at to see how the economy is doing is we look at interest rates, unemployment rates, and some measure of optimism, often reflected by the stock market price. Usually that is a prediction of people who are investing in companies in terms of how they think things are going to go. And on those parameters, stock market is up, so the businesses are generally optimistic. Number 2, the unemployment rate is down overall. And number 3, inflation is down overall. I know it's still 2.4%, but even when the economy is running in a very healthy way, it's usually at least 2% anyway. So 2.4% is not high. Now, having said that, I think you're absolutely right that it feels very different depending on if you're someone who has assets, like you own your house, if you own stocks, if you have a secure income, versus someone who doesn't own assets. And I think you're absolutely right that it's still, the interest rate in terms of owning your home to get a home mortgage is still pretty high. When I refinanced my mortgage, it was 3.5%, and now it's what, over 6%. That hurts the cause. And so I know people my kids' age have a hard time buying a house, and that's really unfortunate.
Well, it's also because the prices are so high, hit all-time highs last month.
So you have the double whammy of the price of the homes is high and the interest rates are high. It makes having a house unaffordable.
But
That's
Trump
a
said
bad thing.
he's the housing president. That's all part of what I'm saying. He says what's he doing? What you're saying is the truth. People can't buy a house. People have to go out and rent. Okay, they got to go and do all that. You're right, Joe. The question is, how about what brings down an economy isn't the people who got the money. What brings down an economy are the people who don't have the money, the people who are behind, the people who are having problems, because that just starts rolling. Have you seen on TV? I get really nervous. My problem is I look at where the downside is. I'm not doom and gloom in any way. America's going to work its way through this, but watch on TV. They've got these ads now where they say, if you send your money into this group, you can get up to 10% interest for 5 years. Where can you get 10% interest for 5 years, Joe? This is the kind of stuff that's going on. I don't want to give the names of it, but they go, you send this money in and we're going to invest it into whatever it is they're going to invest it in. And there's one they're pushing like crazy right now. I don't want to talk about which one it is, but they say if you're in there for like a couple of years, it's like you get like 6%, then you get 7%, then you get 9 and 10%, and you can pull some money out when you need it, and you can always put your money back in. Well, that's always easy to do. 10%? Who's paying 10%? Who's guaranteeing 10% over 4 or 5 years? That's the stuff that's going on out there. And it's just getting wilder and wilder. I didn't live through the 20s. You may have. The 1920s. Joe may have lived through the 1920s. I didn't. He's a lot older than I am. But this just has this feel, Joe. I mean, watch this stuff on TV. They're not even talking your HELOCs anymore to take money out of the houses. But what are the answers? Let me ask you. The cult says Trump's great. What are his answers for housing? Tell me, because housing's massive. If we got housing fixed up, you know what that would do for the economy? That would overhaul the economy. Joe, tell me what he's suggesting, what he is saying he's doing that's so great for housing in America.
Well, he's done two things. Number one, he has pointed out that one of the things that keeps the price of housing high is that corporations, companies are buying houses, and he wants to end that practice. That's one thing. And number two, he wants to lower the interest rates by having a longer term, like a 50-year rate. So that's two things he's proposing to help. But I mean, what other things can one do? I mean, what do you suggest to end housing crisis?
Well, I had always said for a while, I don't think it's a crisis. We've just been living through this malaise for like years. It's nothing new. It's what it is. I've always said we should stop letting the corporations buy all so many of the homes, even though it's a small percentage.
So you agree with Trump?
Wait. I was ahead of him on that. We were talking about it for years.
You were ahead. I agree. You were ahead.
But the problem is they've bought so many. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make now. 50-year mortgage, total waste because people can't afford it. You buy a house. You're not buying an asset. You're not going to live there for 50 years and keep making the payments you're going to make. They're going to be through the roof because they're going to charge incredible interest for something like that. Some of the things they need to do is, this is something else. They've changed the whole market, okay? In the old days, when I say the old days, maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they would foreclose. If you fell behind, they foreclosed. They did certain types of workouts, but they would foreclose. Workout was a dirty word. So they would just go and take people's homes. And then you had this movement of housing that was going because you had buyers, sellers, they were able to move it. You could go to smaller banks who had the loans, who had the foreclosure and be able to sell and to be able to buy out of the REO real estate owned portfolio they had. The problem you got, and it's not a problem, it's good, but what I'll call it a problem is that there's so many workouts going on, and there's every lender has a zillion different ways to give you a workout to make it look like you're really ahead. So like for housing, you'll get like a second mortgage, and they'll take what you're behind and they'll put it on the second mortgage. But those are starting to fall behind a little bit. You have people who are going in, they go to consumer credit counseling. Consumer credit counseling calls the lenders you deal with, Visa, whoever, MasterCard, whoever, Walmart. They work out a deal. You make these payments over a longer period of time. Those payments are falling into arrears right now. So you need to break out the inventory. And as so long as you have incredible amount of workouts going on so that people can't lose their home, which I like workouts, but so that people can't lose their homes, then you're not going to have that big breakout there. You also have certain parts of the country has inventory. People would have to move to those areas, but they're not going to because there are no jobs. Unless, of course, you want to go where the coal is. So Trump's just pumping coal out there. Maybe 40,000 people, 40,000 jobs are out there for us as he pumps black smoke into the air. Coal is horrible. That's no energy. That's no job. That's going back. Getting all this just digging for more oil. That's just going back. That's not looking forward. Solar is the answer. Batteries are the answer. Is he putting any money into that? No. You can use it for defense. That would break things up because then people would have more jobs. There'd be more things to do. But right now, Joe, you got all these people who want to buy a house. You got people who are in trouble who may not have jobs, who may not be able to afford to maintain their house or can't put the money down for a house. And you got all that inventory sitting there, and it's hard to break it up and be able to put it out. And when they tell you they want to build more housing, remember this. It isn't a matter of just sticking a house on a piece of ground. You got to put in the infrastructure. You need pipes. You need water. You need electricity. You need all that stuff. That's major money and takes a long time to do, even if they drop the regs down. And where are you going to do it? Out in the middle of Montana? Are you going to do it in the middle of Wyoming? You can't. Where are you going to do it? You can't do it on the East Coast. There's always so much room. So what are you going to do? So what's the answer? The answer is to sit down and get rid of the guy who's the head of the housing now. Forget these 50-year mortgage things and sit down and start talking to builders and lenders about how we can break this out. And keep this in mind. You know how you raised the first issue, which I liked initially, was stopping the corporations from buying so much? You know that they're not talking about that anymore. They pump big money into Congress and nobody's talking about stopping them from buying any homes anymore because it's all embedded. We got to break it out. It's once again the wealth controlling what happens to people. People don't have a chance, regular people, because the wealthy in this country, when they don't like what they hear that Trump's going to do, they pump cash in. They get the right lobbyists to go in there. This is worse than any swamp I've ever seen. This is the swamp of swamps. It's back to the cave. So how do you break it up? You break it up by getting this money that's pumping into the government from all these different companies and break it up and say no more. We have to actually look at what's going to work and what isn't going to work. And what he's putting out there now isn't working. And remember, what does the Fed do? It drops short-term rates. It doesn't drop long-term rates. Easily, he could be forcing down short-term. I don't know what's going to happen. And then the long-term rates go up. What if that happens? Then we got a real problem on our hands. So the answer is we need to get the money out of the business and get people to start talking and seeing what it's going to take and get and quit being bought off and bought out by the cult leader who just does that kind of stuff. He doesn't care. As long as he's getting the money, what does he care? Right? Trump Dulles Airport, Trump Union Station, or Trump Penn Station. Where else is he going to go? He's going to have big gold statues of himself like Kim Il-sung did in North Korea. And everybody's going to go, yeah, I love you. I salute you. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's going on. But what's he delivering? How are people without money doing better, Joe? The people who are doing okay are doing okay. Professionals can do okay generally. Wait till AI comes for your job. I don't have to tell you. AI is coming into law big time. It's coming into all these places. Where are the new jobs going to be? Who's taking care of the jobs? And those who are out of jobs now, absent health care, what jobs are they going to get? So when the cult says everything's going great, when people want to throw numbers out there to just make it look good, I threw other numbers out. Numbers are numbers. You got to realize that the people who are in trouble are in trouble. And they're only going to get in more trouble unless the economy finds a way to get them money to dig them out of their credit problems. That's where the problem is. And the cult doesn't look at that. The cult only looks at if Trump says it's good, and that's the way it is. It's back to the cave. It's devolution. Joe, say something.
Yeah, in medicine, if there's a problem, we like to diagnose it. And so if we're trying to diagnose what's going on with the economy, I think it's fair to say that for some people, the economy is doing great, particularly those people who already have resources. And for other people, the economy is doing poorly. If you average them out, it looks like the economy is doing okay, but that really doesn't really reflect what's happening for people. For the people who are doing great is a relatively small percent of the population. The people who are not doing great, I think, is a larger percent of the population. And what's unfortunate is that a lot of these folks were not doing great before Trump came into office, and they felt that by voting for him, that things would improve. Things have not improved.
So right.
And so what we have here is a situation where people who have resources and can contribute resources and enrich the current administration continue to get sweetheart deals. And there's numerous examples of that. The whole thing with cryptocurrency. Someone said, let me contribute some money to your account. Let me buy your cryptocurrency.
$500 million.
$500 million. And then he gets a pardon. And Trump discovers this is a great way to graft money. And he's been making out like a bandit. If you own a coal company and you donate to his campaign, then you get a special sweetheart deal in terms of opening up more coal mines. Again, it's very short-sighted. It's very much, if you do something for me, I'm going to do something for you. But the people who don't have stuff to begin with have nothing to give to Trump. So they're getting screwed.
Correct.
They're getting screwed. And that's what we have going on here, that the people without are getting less, and the people with are getting more.
Exactly.
And the current administration doesn't see that. Now, and the problem for that is it has profound effects, not just now, but long term. Because if people who don't have stuff can't afford stuff, where is the incentive to even build a home? How are you going to increase inventory if the people who build homes say, who am I going to build a home for? This guy already has a beautiful mansion over here. Why should I invest in a property to build a new home when if I'm going to build affordable housing, there's no one who can afford affordable housing? You know, when the economy was really humming along, when we were young, really young, and our parents came back from World War II, the economy was really humming. Why? Because the middle class was doing well. There was GI bills. We were growing. The middle class was doing great. And there's been a trend over the past several decades of the middle class being sort of squeezed out.
Right.
People who have resources continue to do well, do better and better. And the people in the middle class and the people without resources are doing worse and worse.
Exactly. And that's where it is. And that's where the bottom falls out. And that's what everybody misses. The economy is going to tank eventually or get really hurt because the bottom falls out. You can take out all the regs you want so that you can pump all the coal you want into the air or all the pollutants you want into the air. You can take regs out so you can build and let streams get wiped out, or you could pollute whatever, or you could just take out regs to make business easier, but not worry about those who are on I don't say the bottom, I'm saying the lower middle down, which is like 40% of those people. How are you helping those people out if you're not getting them jobs? Coal's what, 40 some thousand? If we were focused on really building batteries and getting away from the precious, whatever they call them, the minerals and all this stuff, and really focused, I did a whole battery thing, I think about 10 years ago on this channel, by the way, Joe, on Just an American Citizen. I can see if I can find it and show it to people. I caught a lot of BS about that. That's you can put money in it. You grow from that. You'd have companies that build batteries, real batteries, different ways, learn different ways to be able to control the energy of the sun. Think of all the jobs that can come from that. AI collapses jobs. AI is great. It's technology, but it collapses jobs.
Yeah, I mean, Mike in the mosh pit is making some really good points. And I want to point that out. I don't know if you can read the mosh pit at all.
Look.
But what he's saying is that
I'm not getting the mosh pit.
Okay. What he's saying is that you're assuming that people are too dumb to work. The American dream still exists if people are willing to work for it. But so many young people, especially, are too lazy to get off the rear ends and work for it and earn it. And they want to get it for free. And that's communism. What's your answer to that? That the people without resources are just not working it hard enough to gather resources.
How's that true? Most of those people have two jobs. If you don't have resources, you're taking care of a kid or two. Say you're a single parent. I'm not saying everybody, okay? Say you're a single parent. Say you have a health problem. Health insurance is through the roof. This Trump RX is very small. It's a Band-Aid. Can't do much. You can't afford your health insurance. You're having trouble paying for food. You got two jobs, maybe Uber and something else. You've been laid off from your other job, or your husband or your live-in has been laid off from the other job. What are you going to do? It's not that easy. Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? That's what I want to know. You look out there ain't a million for openings on jobs. Remember, the Challenger, as I told you on this one, the Challenger survey found that job openings dropped by 386,000 in December. 386,000 jobs dropped in December, and it was the lowest level since September 2020 when Trump was president. I think
it's fair to say, if you look at the numbers closely, that Trump imposed tariffs to create incentives to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. That was his idea, and there's some logic to that. That's fair. But the fact is, it hasn't brought manufacturing jobs back in the United States. They're actually down. What is growing is healthcare. And from my perspective, the healthcare jobs that are growing are things like taking care of the older boomers, not the younger boomers, who are in nursing homes. You need somebody to take care of them. That's where there's jobs right now. You know, we do need more doctors and nurses and that sort of thing, but there's only so many that you can produce because of medical school. And, it takes a while to go through medical school, and there's so many openings available. So the healthcare jobs that are opening up are people to take care of older folks. That's what's growing right now.
Right.
And that job doesn't pay enough to ever allow you to have enough resources to buy resources like the house.
Right. That's my point, Joe. And
It's a good point.
I understand what Mike's saying, and I'm with it 100%. But it's just exactly what you said. Think about this. They said that the job cuts have been announced for this year, 108,435. So where are you getting your jobs when you got job cuts? There was a great article in the Journal, I think yesterday or the day before, that talked about how you get the recruiters to take your name and go out and get jobs. People are paying recruiters now to go out and get them jobs, where before they didn't do that. Now they're doing it. Why? Okay, because there is so much competition for these jobs that you need a recruiter you're paying to spend time to get you in the door. Used to be recruiters wanted you so they could make money when they're doing their thing. That's not what's happening now. So, Mike, I appreciate what you're saying, but the jobs aren't there. They're just not there. And I think people would take them if they could. And like Joe said, you sure don't make much taking care of old people. And how many companies have the money to be able to afford to do that? A lot of them go under when there's old people companies. I don't know. I hate to call them that. Whatever the nursing homes,
Assisted living.
Names.
It's
they have different names.
Assisted living now.
What do they call it?
Assisted living.
Assisted living. And then you have some where, you know, people are so out of it, you lock them in rooms. Where are you going to get, where are you going to get all the people for this? You don't have the money. They're not trained. And it's too, people can't live on that. So Mike, please tell me where the jobs are. That's what we're saying.
Jobs are everywhere.
It's.
He says jobs are everywhere. People don't want to work.
Give me an example. Where are the jobs that people don't want to work?
I don't know. Hopefully, Mike will.
Mike, let us know.
Let us know.
We appreciate what you're saying. Let us know. What jobs are people not going for that are wide open, that there are a lot of jobs that they can do? They're just not out there.
I think that there are some jobs available, but they're not the kind of jobs that are going to put you in a position to make enough money to buy a house. That's the problem.
Right.
And again, that wasn't the issue when we were growing up. The American dream was a possibility. If you went to school,
right,
if you got a degree in something, usually you're rewarded for that. And for myself, I'm not complaining at all for my situation. I'm more concerned with younger people these days. What are they going to do? And Mike has some point that if you look at the Gen Zers, if you will, that their work ethic has some question to it. I know when I hire some young people, sometimes they say the first thing is not when do I start, is when does my vacation time accrue? So I get what he's saying, that, you know, and God forbid you have to work a little bit overtime for the business. They're out of there. They want work-life balance, as opposed to, why don't you hustle a little bit to try and make some money and help the company? So I get what he's saying, that there is a bit of a bias for people who don't want to put in that extra work to really get ahead. So I can see that, but I wonder where that comes from, that notion that you don't have to put in that extra work. And I hate to say it, but I think it's really, to some extent, the boomers' fault for raising our kids to not have to bust the rear end. You know, all this, everybody gets a participation award and things like that we didn't really teach people good work ethic.
Come on, Joe.
To work hard.
Come on, Joe. They're victims now, right? Come on.
I know.
Look, kids are smart. Kids know what they're doing. A lot of them live at home. They can do that. A lot of them are living just trading stocks. I understand that. You can get jobs in a restaurant. You can get jobs in a nursing home. But as you said, those jobs aren't going to pay for a house. They're not going to pay for anything except for you to buy some food. And when you go out to McDonald's, I was at Chick-fil-A the other day, I was telling Joe, with another person. I think it cost between us, it was almost $30. Think about that. That's like crazy.
So you get a house on $20 an hour. So Mike says you can make $20 an hour at McDonald's.
And
so you should be able to get ahead, right? I guess that's your point.
Okay.
That's Mike's point, I guess. So what's $20 an hour, like $40K a year?
Maybe. That's if you get full time. You may not have full time. And you have to get to overtime. And when are they open? When are they closed? Mike, I'm with you. Some people are lazy. I'm not arguing with you. But you got to have a situation where, like, when they came back, you used to have all these people looking for jobs. And when they came back from the war, there were jobs there. Manufacturing was exploding because of the war, and all this was happening. And there were jobs for people to go in. They formed unions. It all worked. Now there's nothing out there. Everybody's kind of on their own. There's no group trying to say, okay, we have jobs here. Let's help bring these people here. Let's help get these people ready for AI here. Let's help get this. Nobody's looking out. They're going today, and today doesn't work. And as we keep getting crazier and see on TV these people asking you to invest, or companies asking you to invest in them, and they will give you up to 10% interest in 5 years, you know what's going on. It's like this happened in the Great Recession, Joe, in the 2006, 2007. We're getting there because you can't make offers like that. You can't. How are you going to do that? Who's paying 10%? I mean, you should see what the collateral is they're using to pay the 10% on. Wow. And when things get bad, that whole thing's going to collapse. It's all a chimera because everybody thinks it's their fault. It's their fault. And what we're not doing is something, Joe, you've talked about for the longest time. And I agree. And I yell about the Youngbloods album, and I don't come back to it enough. But we got to come together, and we all have to start saying, "You're not working. You're not this. You're not that." How can we all work together to try to make it work instead of being run by the swamp?
We're not going to get there with vibes.
Personality run everything. What?
We're not going to get there with vibes, that's for sure. With yelling at each other, with just being political and blindly accepting what your fearless leader says to believe. You get there by using your head, by looking at facts, and you're right, coming together and working out solutions. And you just don't see that very much these days. And that's what is the biggest concern to me, that people are looking at the hat rather than looking at the facts.
The cult. That's why forget the guy. Okay, you like Trump, you like him, fine. But don't roll just because he tells you to roll. Don't rock just because he tells you to rock. Look at the facts, see what's going on. Look at Epstein. You see all the wealth out there, the way they just go and they want chicks and they wanted this and they wanted that. Is this one Russian? Does she like me? Is this one a pro? Is this one this? And he's covering all that up. Why? Because those are the people who probably pump money into his administration to make it work. No, we got to get ready. We got to accept what it is, Joe. We're in trouble. We're in real trouble. And let me throw one thing that says it all. Moderna tried to come out with a vaccine, and they asked the FDA if they could test that vaccine. Before you get any medicine, it has to be tested by the Food and Drug Administration, right? They won't even let them test it. They won't even let them come in because it's Devo. We're going back to the cave. You got to look at this stuff and understand. This guy, Vinny Prasad, with the crazy hair. Think about what's going on. If you don't even let a company test something to see if it works because you have unilaterally decided it can't work, it's caveman. It's back to the cave. And people have to understand. That's why I'm bringing this stuff up, because the next big blow up, there'll be some blow up. Trump always has a blow up. Whether we hit Iran or we do something else, we're going to hit Iran. You can bet on that. But when we have this next blow up or something else happens, people are going to go, wow, you can't be surprised. It's all BS, Joe. And people aren't looking at the facts here. They're just not looking at the facts.
I'll give you another good Devo.
Give me a Devo.
The EPA just rescinded the endangerment finding, which is that carbon dioxide is causing global warming. Now, that's a pretty big Devo. So now the EPA can't go after companies that are pumping CO2 in the air. It's basically the whole notion of greenhouse gases is being called bunk.
Joe, you mean we don't inhale CO2?
Yeah, we inhale it. We do inhale
it. Joe, I'm joking, Joe. I'm joking. We inhale oxygen.
If you look at the data, there's a clear association that is there's more CO2 in the air. It causes a greenhouse phenomena where the heat gets trapped and doesn't go back into the atmosphere.
Yeah, but what about all that snow we just had?
Climate is not the same as weather. Weather can go up and down. You can get heat waves, you can get cold snaps, that sort of thing. But if you look at climate, the temperature on the Earth has been increasing over the past several decades, and it's correlated very highly with the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Part of that is the Industrial Revolution pumped out a lot of CO2. A lot of it has to do with cars using oil, pumping out CO2.
The cows.
The cows contribute a lot of things. Lack of actually trees and plants take CO2 and they convert it into O2. Carbohydrates, carbon and water, and then they pump out oxygen, which is really good for us. Oxygen is really important. If you have a little
you mean we inhale oxygen?
Yeah, a little bit of sleep apnea. You know how important it is to have oxygen going to your brain and your heart.
Right.
So what are we doing? We're cutting down the trees. So that's not helping the situation. So it is a scientific fact that CO2 and higher temperatures on the planet are highly correlated. So rather than try to take steps to reduce the CO2, they're just saying, no, it's a hoax. It's not a fact. That's going backwards.
And we'll pump more into the air with the coal. I keep coming back to the coal. You can tell me all you want about oil and gas. Think how dumb this guy is. Coal, black lung disease. A senator from West Virginia with a cute dog who owns coal mines. Coal. It's horrible. It's expensive. It's horrible. China uses coal, but they're trying to change to solar. We have to wake up and think about the future, which is now. If AI is now, then we got to be prepared to move forward with energy now and be able to get people jobs now and how it's going to affect them and quit letting the swamp run with everything. We're back to the cave, Joe. We're back to the cave. Once again,
well, at least the
song,
cave had some advantages, though. There wasn't the greenhouse effect, and people ate a nice keto diet, and that was healthy for them.
Oh, delicious diet!
I'm going to the keto diet now.
Yeah,
that's
great diet. I'm happy to hear that, Joe. It was a little different their keto diet than your keto diet. Okay, a little bit different.
You mean they don't show up at the rib place and buy a bunch of ribs?
They had to chase down the antelopes or the bison, take them down, cook them up, do the fire, and then rock and roll it. And then they need the chef to come over, and they just sit there and chomp it down. What are you talking about?
You mean my beef brisket that I just bought? Is it keto diet?
That's a real key. That's how they did it back in the caveman days. They just called out to Uber, had them deliver it. Uber deliver.
I went to Parsons Barbecue.
Yeah. We use Mission out here. I had turkey last night, but that's where we are. But that's the problem. It's all Devo. It's all going backwards. It's all letting the cult run it, and people just want to get yelled at. So, like, I'm on X, and they sit there. X is having trouble streaming today, by the way. And they sit there and they go, all these guys on X, and they're talking about 2020. Like, Trump didn't lose. He lost, guys. You're sore losers. I go on there, sore loser. That's all it is. Then they go and they have some loon, this guy Olson, who's decided that the whole thing was horrible and that there's no way that Trump lost. And then he goes and an affidavit, I assume, saying that all this stuff went on and they had this probable cause to get a magistrate to sign to take all the ballots out of Georgia. There's no list of what ballots they took. There's no list of anything. They just took them, Joe. They sat there at Fulton County and they just carted them out because some election deniers said it's a good reason to do it. That's people. It's Devo. That's Devo, guys. Venezuela didn't win this election for Biden. America did. And then America voted for Trump. And I think America's having a lot of second thoughts. But don't fall for the cult. Yeah, right. He won 2020. Yeah. Did you see whose face is all over Epstein's stuff? Bannon. Steve Bannon, the man who's supposed to be Trump's man, right? How come he's all over those Epstein files? Because what did he get? Or what didn't he get? He wanted to help Epstein. He wanted to work with Epstein. That's another one part of the cult that everybody listens to. At least Tucker Carlson isn't in there, at least not from what I understand. But geez, Joe, I mean, crazy. That Sultan of Oman or wherever it was, who's loaded, he just had to give up his sultancy, like Andrew had to give up his princely, and all these guys, whatever these guys do, they don't deserve any of it. But shoot, man, it just makes you wonder what's going on. And people here go, yeah, Trump, you're the man. You are the man. But he lies to everybody. And he also says the message. What was that movie, Joe? The message is the truth
Medium
is the
message.
What is it?
Medium is the message.
Is the message. What movie was that?
McLuhan. That was McLuhan.
Okay, right. The medium is the message. And that's what Trump is the medium. And he is the message. And they run with the cult. If he says it, it's good. If he doesn't say it, it's bad. Just that simple. Go ahead.
Jason wants to know how many books we've written, how many publications. I have hundreds. Actually, if you Google me, not that I'm going to tell you my name, but if
they know you, come on.
I'm in. Wikipedia. I've written a bunch of books. Written
Okay.
another book. Written hundreds of articles, book chapters.
They asked you
So,
if you did all that.
Yeah, they want to know if we've written any books.
I don't write books. I just went to court and did a lot of trial and did a lot of trial
Yeah,
work
but
and did a lot of housing work.
I'm not coming here because of qualifications. I'm just
No,
trying to cite facts and express my opinion, and I invite other people to do that too. And
exactly.
hopefully I learned something new.
You don't have to write a book for somebody to tell us something new. We can learn it.
Yeah,
And we're always open to learn.
absolutely.
We're old guys. We need our brains exercised. So we're trying to do it. But admit it, Joe, AI is taking over medicine, isn't it?
AI is going to take over everything. So I know you're concerned about where the jobs are in retraining people, but I got some bad news.
Tell me.
AI is going to take like 20% of jobs, and there's not going to be replacements for that 20%.
So you're not going to have human doctors?
There'll be one human doctor to review what AI says. It's a big. What's happening is a big complicated thing that the FDA is going to want to review the AI's doctoring, as it'll be classified as a medical instrument that the FDA has to approve. That's the new thing.
Are they already doing that?
So yeah, in terms of your EHR, let me tell you a couple things that AI
What
is
is
doing right
EHR?
now.
What is EHR?
Electronic health record.
Go ahead.
So the electronic health record can give questionnaires to patients. Based on those questionnaires, the electronic health record could integrate clinical decision support. So it could basically make recommendations based on the data that the patient gives the computer, and then give recommendations for how to treat your particular disorder. And then a smart EHR looks at the outcomes and then learns from the outcomes if the advice it gave was correct or not. So it learns. So over time, it gets smarter and smarter in terms of giving advice to the patient.
But isn't it still dependent on what input the patients are putting in?
The same input that a doctor gets. So,
But let me ask you, let me take that step further.
Go
But
ahead.
you as a doctor know your patient. And you
Yeah.
as a doctor I'm just trying to see, can AI take that step? You know, the doctors, my doctors know me. They put up with me. They've known me for years. Mark, come on, Mark this, I know that. But if you're just a regular person and you're putting something in and maybe you're putting in there, you don't want to tell it really everything or whatever. How do you know that the AI is actually capturing what the patient, I'll call him patient, what the patient is actually experiencing, Joe? If you don't have a human to sit there and go, come on, I'm looking at you, you're red. You know what I'm
So
saying.
I understand what you're saying. So you could bullshit the AI, and the AI will say, "Oh, you have horrible pain. Let me write for opiates for you." Okay. And a human doctor could say, "This sounds like a bunch of crap. I can see the guy's lying to me."
Right.
So that's 2026 February. But I can tell you the AI is going to learn when somebody is bullshitting. I'm doing a study now, or just finished a study, where based on what the voice, your voice characteristics, the AI is learning if a person's bullshitting or not.
Then let me take it a step different from there. How about if the patient isn't bullshitting, but just can't really communicate that which they're experiencing? Now, you as a doctor can sit in a room and feel them and talk to them and pull it out. Can AI do that? And can AI?
Well, give an example of something that a human doctor can do that the AI can't do.
What did you say?
Give me an example of something a human doctor can do that the AI cannot do.
Right now, or what can happen?
Right now.
Well, I'm not a doctor, okay? But I assume
So it used to be doctors would put hands on patients and do a physical exam, right?
They hardly do that anymore.
Yeah, and AI can't do that, but doctors don't do that. So that's not a good example.
Yeah,
but most of the information doctors get are based on
heart to heart,
blood results, scans,
heart to heart with their patient,
talking to the patient, all that stuff, looking at objective data and subjective data and putting it together to come up with a diagnosis.
Okay.
And based on the diagnosis, then you come up with a treatment.
And you're saying AI can read a human And I'm not talking bullshit. I'm just talking they're not great communicating, or they're not really saying, like, I could sometimes be hurting and not be sure where it's coming from and just say this or that. How do they know them? When a doctor would have known the patient, a lot of doctors, not like the old days where you had your doctor when you grew up, but a doctor knows the patient and goes, come on, Mark, you had this before. Well, I know they know that, but talk to me, Mark, talk to me. Is the wife pissed? Is this happening? You know what I'm saying? You do that.
I do that, but I'm an old time doctor. The
So
newer
you're saying
doctors
an
have
AI
5 minutes to spend with the patient.
My question then is, I'm with you. I'm not giving anybody trouble. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
I've gone into my questioning mode.
Yes, there you
We're kind
go.
of working with people here. Do you think that an AI can actually walk in and do assuming it's really good, you don't know how great it's going to be, but assuming it's really good and doesn't have jealousies and doesn't lie, which it does, and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot to consider, okay? Do you think that they can replace a doctor?
They can't replace a really good doctor, but they can replace probably 80% of doctors.
Wow. Huh.
So
who's going to teach the doctors
who's going to teach the doctors?
to be doctors at medical school?
Well, you still have medical school. You'll
Is
pump
it
out doctors.
AI professors?
I have an AI program now to teach doctors. That's easy. And then rates their performance and tells them if the doctors are doing a good job or not.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting deeper. I'm not talking about rating or just getting basic numbers. I'm talking about actually being a doctor, Joe. I mean, you got patients that could come and you're listening to them. I had clients. You just knew a different one was different. I know you could do it through testing, through numbers, but
here's the difference. Here's what I would say is the difference. Okay. And that is empathy, to be able to relate to the other person and understand what they're feeling. And the computers, I don't think, are so good at that right now. Some human doctors are pretty good at it. A lot of human doctors are not very good at it. And that those are the ones that could be replaced by the AI. But when you meet a doctor or a lawyer or anybody who can relate to you as a human being, who doesn't judge you, who wants to hear your story, can empathize with you, that's a really good doctor or a good lawyer. Or
can AI do that? Can AI do that?
AI is not so good at that right now.
You think it can do that?
Eventually, but not 2026. That'll probably take about 5-10 years, but eventually.
You think it can understand empathy?
If it could learn what are the subtle cues, that sort of it can't have empathy like a human can have empathy.
Okay.
I don't think.
Well, doesn't that make a big difference in being a doctor and being able to isolate problems?
I mean, that's the question. I think it does. But the way medicine is evolving, they're making empathy irrelevant because you don't have time to establish a relationship with the patient. You come in, you see a different person every time you come in for an appointment. In the old days, you had a family doctor who delivered you, who gave you your shots, who dealt with you when you were a rebellious teenager.
I had Uncle Jerry. I know. I understand. Right.
There you go. And how you can't replace that. And here's partly why you can. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
If I go in and see a doctor and I see that they're asking me a bunch of questions and then we look it up on the computer and it says, you have this disorder, you need to, start this medicine. I'm saying to myself, I can look this stuff up myself too. And when I looked it up, you don't need that medicine. It has too many side effects. So I'm gonna just worry about my diet instead of taking that medicine. So you find without empathy, without a connection, people are less compliant, less adherent with following through with recommendations.
Right.
And so people don't take the medicines, then they get in trouble. But when you have your Uncle Jerry, when you have your Dr. Marcus Welby, MD.
That was my Uncle Jerry.
Right. Yeah. And he says, look, you can trust me. Remember when you had that problem?
You don't even have to say. You just say, look, this is what it is. You go, okay, Uncle Jerry.
You remember when you had that problem down there and I fixed it? Right. Well, I'm telling you, here's another situation and I can fix that too. Then you
Okay.
say, okay, I feel better.
Right.
And you walk out of the office feeling good.
Right.
You buy the medicine, you take it as prescribed, and you get better. And I don't think AI can do that.
Do you think it can eventually?
I think medicine is not going to allow the Uncle Jerry doctors anymore. That's the problem. It doesn't pay for it.
Let me ask you this. Can it eventually? I'm trying to listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. If AI can take care of 80%,
Yeah.
that cleans out and that leaves room for the Uncle Jerry's, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
That leaves room for the Marcus Welbys. That leaves room for people to be able to come in and be able to talk to their doctor. Would that be able to kind of change the paradigm a bit?
Well, that's what I think. And so for many medical problems, you don't need Uncle Jerry. You just say, I got the sore throat. Here's the throat culture. It's a strep infection, and it responds to this antibiotic. You go there, you do it online, you get your prescription, shows up in 4 hours, and you're good to go. But for other issues, particularly chronic illnesses, sometimes you need a doctor who works with you and tries something. It doesn't work, you try something else. You have a relationship, and you have to have the patient actually follow the advice and give accurate data, and then people can get better. So that would be my guess, but I'm not sure the healthcare industry is set up to have that kind of relationship.
Well, we have to change a lot of things in the healthcare industry. Let me ask you this, Joe. If you were young, hard to remember, isn't it? If you were young, forget that you try to take out of your mind how much you love medicine and doing everything. Would medicine really be a profession you'd be looking at, assuming it's going the way you think it's going? For a person who wants to be a doctor?
No, it's not.
Would you consider
you wind up in debt, $400,000 in debt, and then you come out and then you have to work for some organization to pay off your debt.
Okay.
And you have no autonomy. You have to follow the protocol. And then when your patients need a medicine, you have the insurance company denying the medicine that you just prescribed. It's a pain in the rear end.
So you would say, don't be a doctor to young people?
It's not what it's cut out to be. It's not what it's cut out to be. It's not like it used to be. Before I had a profession, a calling. At the end of the day, even if I worked hard, put in extra hours, I felt like I did something.
Okay.
And now it's just you put in your hours, you're done, you go home. What have you done?
You feel that way now?
Now I do, but I'm still a dinosaur. I practice medicine the old way.
The old-fashioned way.
I do.
Mm-hmm. It was what was that? Smith Bonnie, the old-fashioned way. We listen, whatever it was. Interesting, those old ads. So you think that medicine, man, Joe, if you're right, then who the hell wants to be a doctor? Medicine's going to go nowhere because you need people. I don't care what it is. You need people. Elon Musk can say you don't, but you need people. You still need something to be able to tell the algorithm what it's got to look for. You need something to be able to let the algorithm understand that it isn't always A or B.
This week I learned something really important.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the algorithm, if you say, I want to tune this algorithm so that it learns when it makes a recommendation, there's some outcome like less mortality. So it can go back and look at the advice it used to give and say, when I gave this advice, what was the mortality? When I gave that advice, what was the mortality? And then learn from that. So that's basic learning. And now the AI is smart enough to write its own code. So that means you don't even need a human at all involved in all this.
Are you talking about
write
Claude?
Its own code?
Are you talking about Claude? All that just
Claude
came out
can do
recently?
it.
Okay.
There's a couple other ones that are writing their own code. So you don't even need programmers anymore. And the problem is this: it starts making decisions, and we don't know what it's basing those decisions on. It just starts doing things that it thinks it's smarter, but we don't know what's it looking at and basing that decision on because it's all internal. So
it doesn't tell you. It doesn't say. You say, "Hey, you came up to this conclusion. How'd you come up with this conclusion?" AI. It doesn't tell you.
Not necessarily.
Jeez, man. That's Hal.
We got Hal now.
We got Hal, huh?
Hal exists now.
Look up Hal, guys, if you don't know. Hal exists now, huh?
Hal exists now. That's the
All caps.
so I know
HAL.
you're concerned about jobs and stuff, but I'm telling you, down the line, it's going to be a more significant problem.
You know something? You tell me I'm doom and gloom. You're doom and gloom. I'm not doom and gloom. I think people can learn how to do things and have AI be a good, let's say, companion or a good partner, better word, to be able to do things with. I have to believe it's that way. All technology we've been able to deal with that way. I mean, if all of a sudden, so what do you think? We're just going to merge with the technology and become one? That's what Elon Musk wants.
I think there'll be a lot of people who don't have much to do, and hopefully we can figure out a way so that people can have some purpose in life.
But people have no purpose. You know what happens? They get mad, they get disgusted, they get discouraged. And that's part of what's happening right now.
That may be judges. That may be the ultimate evolution, though. That's the problem. So we got de-evolution, but we have a problem with too much evolution.
But then
we might evolve ourselves out of existence.
No, we would merge with it, Joe. I got to believe that we would merge with it. Guys, I know we're talking about crazy stuff here, but I have to assume we would. I have to assume we would merge with it.
That could be.
I don't think we're going to be around to do it, but I have to think that, it would realize that humans can be a fucking pain. Oops, excuse me. We don't cuss here. I apologize. I blew that one. Humans, that's more like me normally. Humans can be a pain in the butt, but they still need them to kind of give them whatever they need. And humans look at it as, well, AI could be a pain in the butt, but it's like a dog.
Well, hopefully it evolves where we're co-equals at least, and the computers don't get to the point where they say the humans are nice pets.
Well, that's how I'm looking at it, almost like a dog, but I want to be like human and dog, where the dogs, they live their life with their nose in the ground. So they get along with us, but their nose is in the ground. Ours is up doing whatever. A lot of people are up somebody's tuchus. But but at the same time, it's I don't know, Joe. Joe, you're talking horrible. You're saying that nobody should ever be a doctor again.
No, it's
yes, you are. Yeah, don't you?
You asked me what I would do, and the reasons I went into being a doctor are less prevalent now. The reasons that I went into doctoring.
You're older, Joe. Joe, you're older. Come on, you're older. You've been successful. You did your thing. You've helped so many people. You're still helping people. It's different. I'm talking about somebody coming out, kicking butt, looking to do something and really make it happen. I think being a lawyer, if Trump doesn't just throw the law out and flush it, it will still be something that's good, because I don't see robots arguing with each other.
So, probably 80% of law can be replaced by AI.
Yeah, but I believe a major chunk of it can. I don't see it, though, replacing it in trial. I don't see it replacing it in litigation. I mean, it helps getting the litigation together, but you're still going to need people who are going to go up there and argue to somebody, unless you're going to put an AI up there and it just goes,
the AI can write the briefs. The AI can write the briefs.
So far, they haven't been able to.
Oh, they haven't been able to?
They've been wrong. Oh. They've been putting incorrect stuff in there. That's why lawyers have been getting disbarred.
Is that the 2025 AI or the 2026 AI?
That's still the most recent. You can't trust them. So I'm always looking. They make mistakes on mine. And I love AI. And I'll put it in and ask stuff. And I'll say, come on, that's not right. And yes, it is. No, it isn't. Please double check. And they double check and come back and go, no, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it happened with you, though. You got a more contentious situation. But when you look at this, to me, it's like, where do we go with all this? I mean, geez, this is what happens when you get old and your brain just starts blowing out everywhere.
Sorry for the AI's going to hate our transcript this week.
That's okay. I kind of am enjoying it. And I think, what's the Bob Dylan song you want to share?
Tell me, lady.
We just got a couple. What's the song you want to share? Blowing in the Wind? Could be. I don't know. All Along the Watchtower? Tell me, lady, you put in there. Did you type that in?
The Watchtower. Is that Bob Dylan? I thought that was
All Along the
Hendrix.
Watchtower.
That's Hendrix.
Took Dylan and made it big.
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's not Jimi Hendrix?
Hendrix took it and made it Hendrix. You didn't know that?
Bob Dylan wrote that.
You're joking. You're joking. Hendrix did a lot of Dylan stuff. He also did Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And the Beatles came and watched him do it. He did it like 2 days after the release of the album or something. Hendrix was incredible. What Hendrix could do, he could just feel it and take it and make it part of him and then just put it out there. He was outrageous. Of course, it was total Dylan all along the Watchtower. All along. He played Dylan at the
Girls from North County Fair. There you go.
Okay, right on, lady. He also played he played Dylan at Monterey.
Wow.
Okay. I don't know why.
Thanks for the contribution. Where's the album of the week? We should pull that out. Some Bob Dylan.
We should get back to an album of the week. We really should, but it really is. Honestly, it's Devo right now because we've been talking about it where everybody's going back to the cave. But how about song of the week? Going back to the cave with Lita Ford. I love Lita Ford. Lita was incredible. She came from the Runaways. They were good. They were great. She was Sherry Curry and come on. I know who the other one is. It'll come to me. I love rock and roll. So, do you want to touch me? Why am I having the trouble? I'm seeing the name and I can't. It'll come out. And great group. And so Lita came out. She did a great song with Ozzy. If I close my eyes forever. Remember that? That was Ozzy. That was Ozzy and Joan. So I love Joan. And Joan Jett was also with the Runaways. What a great group. What a great group. But Lita was hot. Saw her at the Hammerjacks. She just rocked. That's years ago. She could just really I'm telling you, the Runaways were a great group. You should Cherry Bomb, Cherry Bomb. You're getting me going, Joe. And everybody's going to say he's lost it. But that's where it is. What are you saying here?
I looked it up. There it is. I got it all queued up. Bob Dylan with Johnny Cash singing "Girl from the North County."
Right on.
I'll play that after this.
Dylan was smart.
Thank you, lady.
Right, great song. And Johnny Cash was great. My favorite Johnny Cash was A Boy Named Sue. Still my favorite. Okay, Boy Named Sue. Who wants to be a boy named Sue? These days, nobody cares. So that's where we are. Joe, let me tell you, this was an interesting live stream. We just kind of rolled. X had trouble. They told me they can't put it out there. But they told me it's rolling. And it's like, I'm like laughing. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm getting streamed.
Yeah,
so it's just, wow. I think it's been great. We really kind of got into some stuff. We did the cult. We understand. We put facts out there. And let me just kind of conclude. We're very worried about the economy. It's because the bottom chunk, the 40% underneath,
the K economy.
They're going to pull it out. It's like you carrying a box. If you don't have it all taped up, it's all falling through the bottom of the box. Same type of situation. We've got that now. Please don't fall for the cult. Fall for the real. Listen to the facts. Sit back. If things get better, great. If they go Joe's way, I'm worried. So we're rocking, but thank you all for coming. We're definitely going to be here Wednesday. I got no more excuses. I don't have to be volunteered for anything any longer. So we love you. We thank you. I will bring an album of the week. And I will do it because Joe asked for it. Though, Lita Ford. Listen to Lita Ford. I love her. Joe, it's Devo. Are we not men? We are Devo. We have turned into little snails with little tails. And if you're square, we ain't there. Joe, and that's the way it is.
Period.
See you all Wednesday. Thanks.